Hey guys, how's it going? I made you a mod wondering spirit. Just because well, you're saying like this sub up and everything, and why not? Yeah, like that right there. That's awesome. Plus you call me beautiful. Hey Heavenly Cow. Hey Patty, hey Deb, hey SD, hey Cool Gamer. Yeah, you said that you were here waiting, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go live now. I'm just waiting for my kid to get his butt home. He's at his dad's. Sorry, I don't have my camera on today. I don't know, I'm not feeling the greatest. That's all right. Still gonna read this. Hey, that hi guy. Hey, Jackie. You made it. Yay. That's all right. I'm all good. I made you a mod as well, Jackie, because I'm one on your channel. And I trust you. All right. And I'm a jerk. Jink. I'm a jerk. I forgot to post the recent photographs from Sunday. I always do. So tonight there'll be a whole bunch of them. All right. So now we're on chapter 19, and this is called The Fourth Man. Well, you didn't have to reschedule your appointment. You can always see after. I haven't got my nails done in years. I'd love to. We're gonna talk about making cookies, right? I'm in a cookie mood. Actually, I could go for some cookies. Homemade peanut butter cookies. All right, before we start drooling. Okay, so if three of the men that Case and Hearn had encountered at the scene of the murder were Bugsy Siegel, Al Greenberg, and Maurice Clement, who was the fourth man? So we got Bugsy, Red, Al Greenberg. So there's a fourth one, right? Okay. Transcribed statements in the files of the LAPD would indicate that the fourth man was Jack Anderson Wilson, aka Arnold Smith, a member of Al Greenberg's McCadden gang, who was 6 feet 4 inches tall and walked with a limp. I know, right? So I'm wondering, what do you need an appointment for your name for? But I figured it was a mistake. You've been plant-based for 2 weeks, eh? In Severed, the most respected of the nonfiction investigative books on the Black Dahlia case, author John Gilmer claims that Jack Anderson Wilson was the role perpetrator of the Black Dahlia murder. Gilmer's conclusion was based on numerous interviews he had with Wilson over a period of years and discussions with LAPD Detective John St. John, who had inherited the Dahlia case in 1968. I hate her too. The Wilson interviews, which are filed in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, as well as the Homicide Division of LAPD, leave little doubt that Wilson was involved in the murder of Elizabeth Short. He knew too much about the details of the crime, things that only someone who was at the scene could have known. However, Wilson was hardly the type of person that the top echelons of the LAPD would go out of their way to protect. He was merely a secure thief with the long rap sheet of burglary and assault offenses who hung around Al Green's nightlife bar back in the 40s. At the time he encountered Jack Anderson Wilson, Gilmore had been working on Severed for several years, but was without a clue to the identity of the person or persons unknown. Having researched and written Severed prior to the opening of the district attorney's files in 2003, Gilmore was thrown off by the planted rumors regarding Elizabeth Short's inability to have sexual relations and was unaware that someone with advanced medical knowledge was involved in the murder. Why would she have an inability to have sexual relations? I don't understand what that means. Lacking knowledge of her pregnancy and the motive behind the crime, Gilmore was convinced that the killer was a lone psychopath and had been promulgated by Donahue and the press. There was a number of people in Hollywood, Babylon, who were aware of Gilmore's ongoing research into the case, and while working out of his office at the Bradbury Building in downtown Los Angeles, he was contacted on October 1981 by a man who referred to himself as Eddie. Eddie said he was in touch with a Mr. Smith who had knowledge about the Black Dahlia murder. An arrangement was made for Gilmore to casually meet Mr. Smith at Eddie's home in Silver Lake District, with Gilmore described as an obvious center of a small-time burglary ring. The garage was filled with stuff that probably came from the burglaries, and there were too many electronic things around the house: stereos, hi-fi equipment, golf clubs, and a lot of silverware. That was something they would say in order to not be accused of having sex with someone. He, she can't have sex, so I couldn't have done. Oh, gotcha. See, and that's why I love having you here. You're very, 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 very brilliant, Deb. You know, like everything, and I appreciate that. Grimler recalled that Eddie introduced him to two friends staying at the house. An indigenous, who was Gilmore, later learned was involved with Eddie in the burglary of Hollywood homes, and a tall, wiry man who was then introduced as Arnold Smith. Gilmore guessed that Smith was at least 6 feet 4 inches tall, and he noticed that he walked with a limp. After a few drinks and some idle talk about Hollywood, Eddie turned the conversation toward unsolved Hollywood murders and confided that Arnold Smith had known the Black Dahlia and even had a photograph of himself with Elizabeth Short. Smith told Gilmer that he had met her at Al Greenberg's cafe on McCadden through his friend Harry Hasu, who had also been a member of the McCadden gang. Gilmer recalled, Smith told me there had been a number of robberies that involved several men that hung around Greenberg's cafe, including Harry Hasu and a man named Bobby Severino. According to Smith, they and Al Greenberg had been involved in a robbery of a nightclub on the Sunset Strip at the time of the Black Dahlia murder, and Hasu and Severino had been arrested. Smith told Gilmer that he had been afraid that he too would be apprehended. Initially, Gilmore didn't realize Smith was talking about the jewel robbery at the Macombo, which had been carried out by Al Greenberg's McCadden gang for Bugsy back on January 6, 1947. Arnold Smith was the tall 6'4" younger man with the limp, identified by the accountant as the thief who scraped the jewelry from the tray removed from the safe. Although Arnold Smith escaped arrest for the Macombo robbery, Henry Hastu and Robert Sarvino were arrested by sheriff's deputies on the afternoon of January 14th, the day Elizabeth Short was murdered. Al Greenberg was arrested several days later. Look at you laughing. Oh, it was embarrassing and a horrible thing to say too. Put enough laugh emojis there, shithead. Yes, thank you. We always need a trigger warning. Following the meeting at Eddie's house in Silver Lake, there were several other meetings in the fall of 1981 that followed a pattern. Gilmer would receive a call from Smith at his Bradbury building office, and a time and meeting place would be arranged. Smith would not reveal his name, where he lived, or how could get in touch with him. As Smith was an obvious alcoholic, they would inevitably meet in downtown Los Angeles bar, where his information about the murder of the Black Dahlia was dribbled out, while Gilmer provided rounds of drinks and an occasional C-note. They usually met at the 555 Club on Main Street, Skids Row, where Gilmer would often gain little more than a hefty bar bill. In reviewing the transcripts of their conversations, it becomes obvious that Smith was testing Gilmore with tidbits of information in exchange for drinks and cash. Because of his alcoholism, Smith was often rambling, evasive, and incoherent in recalling events that had taken place well over 30 years ago prior to their meetings. Yet there are moments of vivid truth that left Gilmore hooked on these disjointed recollections. At one of their meetings, Smith showed Gilmore the photograph he had of Elizabeth Short. Gilmore said that Smith kept it in an old See's candy box wrapped with rubber bands. The photograph had, "I'm only been accused of being too sexy, it's a birth." I don't even know what the hell a C note is. Is it like a bank note? I don't know how much it is. Hey, Deb, Miss Brilliant, let me know. Photograph happened taken at a nightclub in 1946, and Elizabeth Short could be sitting at a table next to a much younger Mr. Smith and another couple. Robert Slatzer, author of The Life and Curious Death of Marilyn Monroe, Pinnacle 1974, had also seen the photo of Smith and Elizabeth Short together. In an interview that Slatzer recorded for Gilmore in 1982, recalled that in 1974 he had an office in the Taft Building at Hollywood and Vine and was working on a book about notorious Hollywood jewel thief Duke Monteverde, who was known as the Duke of Thieves. The Duke would occasionally drop by Slater's office, and one day brought along a tall, lanky associate who said he had known Slater in the old days when Slater was dating Marilyn. Slater didn't recognize him, but on another visit, Smith showed Slater an old photograph of Smith when he was much younger. Slater noted that the picture was taken at Florentine Gardens and Smith was sitting next to Elizabeth Short. More than 25 years have passed, and Smith looked quite different. Time and alcohol had taken their toll, but Slater recognized him as someone he had met back in 1946. C-note is $100. Okay. Sletzer said that he was one of the slick underworld people who used to hang around the Florentine Gardens and could often be seen at Mark Hanson's table flashing $100 bills. I don't remember what he called himself, but it wasn't Smith. Slater had always believed Elizabeth Short had been murdered by some of the mobsters who hung around the Florentine Gardens, and in his course of his taped 1982 interview with Gilmore, Slater said he had been told by prominent underworld figure and a friend of Johnny Rosales that Bugsy was connected to the murder of Elizabeth Short. Do you believe that, Dad? That Bugsy was really well, that actually it's stated as proof now. During one of Gilmore's interviews with Smith, he told Gilmore that the person responsible for Elizabeth Short's murder was Al Morrison. Gilmore patiently tried to get an ID on Al Morrison, but found Smith to be cagey and deliberately evasive. He referred to Al Morrison as a hot shot who lived in Nevada. Smith repeatedly placed Al Morrison at the scene of the murder, along with Al Greenberg. At one of Gilmore and Smith's meetings, after several drinks, Smith began talking about the killing. Hey, Gilmore says, "Tell me about Al Greenberg and when he came and told you about the Black Dahlia killing." Smith, "So many killings going on, and you know that the other guy, the writer, or so he called himself, his name's Henry. He was the one that was gonna fucking shoot Mickey Cohen. Just a crazy son of a bitch. He figured he had things smooth, but he didn't know shit from Shinola." Gilmore, "This is the guy that stuck up the Macombo?" Smith, "Well, yeah, they were all afraid of getting arrested right then." Gilmore, "Including Greenberg?" Smith, "They were all taken in except for Al Greenberg." Gilmore, "You said he came over to the hotel on Sunset." Smith, "He came over with the newspapers, the ones that had a picture of her." Gilmore, "He brought you the papers?" Smith, "He wanted me to know in so many words that I have to keep my mouth sorry. He wanted me to know in so many words that I keep my trap shut." Gilmore, "About the Black Dahlia?" Smith, "He had a way of having things in his mind, you see, as he would direct this in a way that you got the point." Oh, no worries, Patty. Grandma says, "When was it that he told you what he done?" Smith, "It was later. He got to drinking. He drank a bottle of Fleischmann. I don't even know how to say that. And he said something about it being time we talk about it. And then he looked at me and said, 'Somebody that does this doesn't have to be crazy. Somebody that can do this has reasons for doing it that isn't understood on a normal level.' And it took me a long time to find out what he was after." In the transcript, Gilmer makes the notation, "I ordered drinks at this point because I see that he's getting abstract again, and I want to pin down some details before he gets into a stupor." Initially, Smith maintained the pretense that he had not attended the crime and had been told details of the murder by Al Greenberg, but as the meetings continued, he became apparent that Smith had been at the scene of the murder and was involved with the disposal of the body. Gilmore, this is the room where she was, right? This is what Al is thinking and telling you? Smith, they had done a few other things to the body, and I figured she'd still been alive from what I've been told when they did it. So that's why people are saying, like, you know how I think it was you, Deb, that was asking how do they know if she, or maybe it was someone else, like, how would you know if she was alive or not while she had her mouth cut? People were saying that. So I don't know if it was rumors, if it was true, but everybody's been saying that. Gilmore, what was done? These other things you say you have information on. Smith, she was naked, only they tied her hands and these were up over like this, and they had stabbed her with a knife a lot. Not deep, not enough that it would kill you, but jabbing and sticking her a lot, and then slitting around one tit. Then they cut her face across the mouth. This was the idea that she was not dead because her eyes were open and they had a look in them that she was not dead, but oh yeah, she was dead. Oh my God, the cat's got the zoomies. So if you hear banging, that's them. Guillermo says, th- I love it when cats get zooms. They both have it. Oh my God. Yeah, you see that, Jack? I think they're nuts. So Gilmore says, this is not in the bathroom. Smith, no, this is not in the bathroom, but in the bathroom, these boards are put across the tub, straight across it, and she was brought into the bathroom at first. If I recall exactly what the information is I have, I think dragged the rest of the way. Dra- Dragged in? Smith, well, by the legs in that way. She had to be laid across the tub on top of the boards, and then he ties the arms and tied her hands to the faucet handles and thing for the shower, the pipe. She was laying across one board just underneath the back part, and the other one was underneath her hips here, under the ass. See a rope around each leg and pull them downwards, pulling them so that you then tie these ropes around the bottom of the can and the toilet bowl. What? Hey, it definitely is the cats. I swear. He wants to know what they easy. Oh my God. He's married. Why would she have to be on boards on top of a bathtub? Does anyone know? For the, I mean, you would think if, well, she was being stabbed and cut, there would be blood and wouldn't it fall, I mean, roll down the boards from the bathroom? That'll be good. Where's he go? Oh, is Aaron scream his name? Why is it it's always a porn stream. Always. That or food. Okay, then Gilmer says, you said the phone. Smith, the idea was first cutting, maybe I should just shut up and read it. Smith said, the idea was first cutting off the legs at the top of her legs, but then this would have to be done twice. So the decision was to separate, to cut her in half, that way to move the two parts easily and get her, this was the way to transport. So, okay, so I remember reading that and I've been hearing that too, that they did it that way for easy transport so they wouldn't get caught. Nikki, what the hell are you trying to say? I don't, um, Dragon Mom, are you in here? She's usually the horny one. Gilmore, you said that corpse was cut in half for disposal purposes. I want to get back to the situation with the boards. The body was on the planks over the bathtub. Smith, her middle was over the tub, and the boards were widthwise, so she was open at the waist and back, and so the cut was across the middle, pulled tight like she was so it could go clean through and have her body opened. Gilmore, so the body was being cut at this time. Smith, yes, but blood did come out and onto the boards, and even some jumped out of her. Trigger warning. Came out and upwards in such a way as like this, see, but it was clean through, and then I think there was some trouble going through her backbone, the bones part there. Gilmore, you said the draining of this? Smith, when the one board was removed from underneath the rear part, the low section went down into the tub, but hanging at an angle, and drained in this manner. The same with the top half, which hung down into the tub, and there were marks made on the body's back, the upper part where it was against the faucets. Both sections of the body drained in this manner as leaning. You could say lying down at the incline into the bathtub, but the bottom section, the hips, and these parts of the legs were leaning against the slope of that part of the tub, but the upper part was straight down. That is how I understand it. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Kimmy. This is really gruesome, but it is answering all the questions I have. How the body was drained to blood. What would they need the boards for? Someone here, guys. Gilmore, so you were saying about the boards then. Smith, she stayed in the tub and the boards were taken down and out back, and the boards and stuff were put into the incinerator. Gilmore, how long was the body in the bathtub? Smith, the body was in the bathtub that night. The tub had been filled with water. Gilmore, so the body was untied and it was still in the tub in the water? Smith, it was in the water, but this was drained and it was filled again, and the body was in the water at this time. Gilmore, was it submerged? Smith, the body tended to stay higher, I believe, with the surface as it came up. You see, there was movement in the bathtub with the body when the tub was filled with water, and whatever skin contact there was, this was removed when they were draining, when there was the draining. Gilmore, how do you mean removed? Smith, it was removed by cleaning it off. Gilmore, but about the cleanup, the blood on the floor must have presented a problem. Smith, the mop and the rags were used, like I said, and then these things and the boards went down, and these were put into the incinerator and lighted on fire. And there was a thought about the bag. Gilmore, what is the bag? Pietistic show. They called her it. You gotta be kidding me. I'm sorry. I wish they'd lay off your daughter. Like, this is ridiculous. Smith, the cement bag. Okay, so Gilmer says, what is the bag? Smith says, the cement bag that was outside. The water hadn't gotten to the bag. Gilmore, then you said there was getting rid of the body. Smith, there was this oilskin tablecloth off the kitchen table, but this wasn't enough. So there were these curtains and the shower curtain from the hall there by the pipe. She was wrapped over in the curtains, both parts in the two curtains. I think it was the shower curtain to take the sections to the car. The bag was on the floor of the trunk. Gilmore, this is the cement sack? Smith, yes, and she was put into the trunk of the car and then drove until the place was reached there that he could put the her out of the car. Gilmore, how did he take her out of the car? Smith, took her out of the car. Gilmore, I mean, how did he take both sections out of the car? Smith, the top section was carried by the arms. held up like this and put down on the ground, and the bottom section was on the bag and put down that way. Gilmore, did he turn the body over? Smith says, the body was put down in this manner. The bottom section was moved by one leg this way, and he demonstrated it, more away from the sidewalk, and then the top part was picked up again and put in order. Gilmore, what happened to the cement sack? Smith, left it there where it was when he took hold of the foot or the ankle and put that away from the sidewalk. Gilmore, what about the shower curtain and the tablecloth? And you're quite upset at this point, and if anyone wants to report, the FBI post my Twitter pin tweet, otherwise you gotta get it straight. Yeah, it is a strange coincidence. I'll go on to I have no problem reporting them. I'll be right there after this. So what about the shower curtain and the tablecloth? Smith, this was in the trunk of the car. Gilmore, was it left in the trunk of the car? Smith, it was put into a storm drain. Gilmore, in the same area. Smith, no. Gilmore, and he didn't leave anything at the scene. Smith laughs, apparently, and he says the body was left at the scene. Wow. Gilmore, but her clothes, purse, and her shoes. Smith, no, 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 no. The clothes, there was nothing at the clothes. There was not, that was not cut and burned except the shoes and her purse. The pocketbook was on the floor in the car on the floorboard. It was put in the incinerator. Gilmore, this is the incinerator that is at this cafe. Smith, that's the cafe. It is just around the corner and not far if you go around the corner and up Crenshaw. Gilmore, and the storm drain? Smith, you mean the shower curtain and that stuff? That was on Melrose. You think I would go into the gas chamber? Gilmore, for what? Smith, for compounding a murder, a homicide in the city of Los Angeles. Conspiracy. Gilmore, yeah, conspiracy. Smith, but I didn't conspire. Gilmore, no, I understand that. Smith, what if I said I was doing the same thing as we're talking about? Gilmore, I think it's in all of us to do some to some degree, just the turn of events that sets the moment right. Smith, it was right, all right. Gilmore, what do you mean? Smith, killing her, the events you're talking about, the things you're talking about. That it's according to Al Morrison over in Nevada and being Mr. Hotshot. According to him, it's okay to kill somebody. You just do it in whatever way you do, and it's personal in its use. If you understand what I'm saying. So that literally was the whole conversation of what they did to this girl. Yeah. You need to calm down. You can just play cards and listen to my big mouth. Hopefully helps a little bit. The full 81 text of the Arnold Smith John Gilmore transcripts were reviewed and studied by intimate criminologist Larry Moncrief, a former police officer and instructor at the Police Academy in Modesto, California. Moncrief, who was frequently served as an expert witness in criminal cases, concluded that Smith's statements had the ring of truth, though he was often intoxicated during the interviews. He had too much knowledge and seemed to know the innermost thoughts of the killers. He understood how and why certain things occurred and expected Gilmore to understand. Moncrief also pointed out that Smith knew many details consistent with facts in the coroner's many details consist with facts in the coroner's inquest transcript, and he recalled these details after the passage of more than 30 years. Smith just had too much knowledge. The way the body was cut up, marks on the body, the way the body was disposed of. Although in Sever, John Gilmore concluded that Smith was the only person involved in the murder and he had made up the involvement of Al Morrison and Al Greenberg to protect himself, Moncrief believed that Al Greenberg and Al Morrison, the big shot from Nevada, were involved in the murder and there may have been others. In analyzing the Gilmore transcripts of his conversations with Arnold Smith, it became evident that Smith was the fourth man encountered by Case and Ahern at the bungalow court in Catalina Street. Those in attendance at the sacred setting were, hey, Benita. Oh, these little bastards right here. Bugsy, Albert Louis Greenberg, Jack Anderson Wilson, Dr. Leslie Adrain, and Maurice Clement. So it says Bugsy Siegel, the pathological killer who slashed Elizabeth Short's face with a knife and struck her repeatedly on the head with a blunt metal instrument. Albert Louis Greenberg, Bugsy's henchman, and the boss of the McCadden gang. Jack Anderson Wilson, aka Arnold Smith, member of the McCadden gang. Maurice Clement, syndicate procurer for Brenda Allen and the driver of the car. Dr. Leslie C. Adrain, the abortionist who had bisected the body and left the bungalow prior to Case and Ahern's arrival. So there's 5 people involved in this. Oh, I'm glad you checked. I hate that nobody's getting notifications. It's not everybody, but it's awful. I'm getting sick of it. I am sick of it. Not getting, I am sick of it. So now we're on chapter 20, and this is called The Silent Scream. I'm sure, yeah, by the first couple sentences, it's going to be more trigger warnings. The silent scream of Elizabeth Short still echoes in the corridors of criminology. From time to time, the infamous murder case reemerges from the unsolved homicide files of the 20th century. Many people have speculated about the identity of the killer or killers and questioned the motivation for the crime. But there's reason to believe that Dr. Harry Hansen has deciphered the silent scream and solved the case long ago. Hansen knew the secret of the autopsy, that the victim was pregnant at the time she was murdered, and a post-mortem hysterectomy had been performed. In his testimony before the grand jury, Hansen acknowledged that the bisection of the body was performed by someone with advanced surgical skills. He also knew that the address of Desley. Jesus, I can't even talk tonight. Oh yeah, no worries, Deb. Hansen knew the secret of the autopsy. The victim was pregnant at the time she was murdered, and a post-mortem hysterectomy had been performed. In his testimony before the grand jury, Hansen acknowledged that the bisection of the body was performed by someone with advanced surgical skills. He also knew that the address of Dr. Leslie Adrain, leader of the syndicate abortion ring, was in Elizabeth Short's address book. According to Aggie Underwood and Finis Brown, the reporters, Hansen believed an abortionist was involved in the crime and had been pushing for an indictment, which was blocked by Chief Corll. On several occasions, Hansen had also questioned Brenda Allen's procurer, Maurice Clement, and the grand jury files indicate that Clement had been placed high on the suspect list. Along with Sergeant Stoker, Hansen also would have been aware that Brenda Allen was the syndicate madam working with Bugsy's vice map, and Hansen would have recognized the significance of the body being displayed in the proximity of Jack Dragna's home on Hubert Street. But the psychotic killer, Bugsy, has been assassinated in the months following the Black Dahlia murder, and Dr. Adrain had suddenly died as the grand jury was beginning to be its investigation. By the time Hansen had brought before the grand jury in November of 1949, he undoubtedly had the answers to many questions that were never asked by the investigators. Although Hansen was an honest cop, he was not a crusader like Sergeant Stoker. There's a reason to believe that Detective Harry Hansen took the secret of the silent scream to his grave. After Hansen retired in 1968, the unsolved Black Dahlia case was inherited by Dr. John St. John, who was popularly referred to as Jigsaw John because of his legendary investigative talents. When he carried badge number 1, bestowed upon him by Chief William Parker, few understood the origins of St. John's legendary reputation, which was largely the result of Parker's PR savvy. Although St. John had indeed worked homicide and robbery, his genius lay in the gift of the gab, and he was primarily an LAPD public relations figure devoted to resorting the LAPD's tarnished image after the 1949 Vicecapades. From his office at Warner Brothers Studios, he was involved in the creation of Jack Webb's Dragnet television series, for which he served as a technical director, and his reputation as the invincible homicide investigator was enhanced by the TV series Jigsaw John, which was based on the mythological exploits that once again eulogized Parker and the LAPD. Thank you, Wandering Spirit. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. By the time St. John inherited the Black Dahlia murder in 1968, it had become a cold case in LAPD deep freeze, more a matter of public relations and then investigation. And while St. John readily dismissed the occasional investigative journalist's newly postulated suspects, including the father of Janice Knowlton, author of Daddy Was a Black Dahlia Killer, he had to polish badge number one and do his homework when John Gilmore presented Arnold Smith with a viable suspect. Following several meetings with Gilmore and reading the Arnold Smith transcripts, St. John found the Arnold Smith to be a credible suspect. After re examining the LAPD Black Dahlia case files and conferring with Finis Brown, the crime lab, and several detectives who had worked the case, St. John concluded that Smith may have been present at the murder site and involved with the transportation of Elizabeth Short's body to the lot in Norton Avenue. However, St. John maintained that Smith was using Al Greenberg and this Al Morrison character as a smokescreen. I mean, it would make sense to me that um oh, there you are, Dragon. Yeah, exactly. See, there she is, horny as all. That's what she said. Yeah, it's not okay. I don't understand why it keeps happening to a lot of us. Like sometimes I don't get your notifications either, Jackie. So I just automatically check because I know you're live pretty much every day. So I always check if I remember anyways. I don't know, that Smith guy though. He turned into an alcoholic. And when you do something bad like that, usually people can't, I don't know, I would say handle it and they definitely turn to drugs and alcohol. One or either or both. St. John said his reference to the others are in the form of this other guy, supposedly telling Smith these things, which Smith is telling you. It's the old story of let me tell you about what happened to this pal of mine when it's actually yourself you're talking about. You never get mine either. I know nobody does. Where's my manager? Um, a lot of them are cooking. He persuaded Gilmore that Smith was throwing Morrison out as a decoy. What Smith is doing, St. John said, is airing what he possibly knows of the murder firsthand while putting it in someone else's mouth as a told to story, as if you get my drift. Although St. John was quick to dismiss the possibility that Smith had related the truth regarding Al Greenberg and Al Morrison, he must have known that Al Greenberg had been the boss of the McCadden gang and known Elizabeth Short and had been a henchman of that hot shot from Nevada, Bugsy. Faced with Gilmore's transcripts, however, St. John had to concede that Smith was a viable suspect. He told Gilmore he'd like to locate Smith and bring him in for questioning. He may be the one we've been looking for all of these years. Smith had been careful about not revealing his true identity or where he lived, and it was decided that when he called again, Gilmore would meet him and bring along a friend who would be an undercover officer. The officer would buy the drinks and attempt to engage Smith in recorded conversation. Gilmore warned St. John that the meeting would have to be on short notice because he never knew when Smith would call. It was only when he was thirsty and short of the money that Gilmore would hear from him. So the call came in late December 1981, and a meeting was arranged at the 555 Club on Main Street. After several rounds of drinks, the undercover officer, Louis Sheffield, began asking Smith about Al Greenberg, the Macombo robbery, and the McCadden gang's connection to Bugsy and Mickey Cohen. But according to Sheffield, Smith seemed nervous and uncomfortable and seemed to have a negative response towards me. He spoke only briefly about Morrison. Meanwhile, St. John had made a positive ID on Arnold Smith. Mugshots were obtained from an arrest in Oregon, along with a long rap sheet for robberies, assaults, and petty crimes. Smith proved to be Jack Anderson Wilson, aka Grover Loving Jr., aka Hans Anderson, Von Cannon, aka Arnold Smith. Holy crap, that's a lot of names. Following the meeting with Gilmore and Officer Sheffield at 555 Club, police surveillances established that Arnold Smith was staying in room 202 at the Holland Hotel on 7th Street in downtown Los Angeles. After reviewing 81 pages of Gilmore's transcripts and listening to tapes of the Smiths' interviews, John St. John concluded that Gilmore was correct. Jack Anderson Wilson, aka Arnold Smith, was involved in the murder of Elizabeth Short. But shortly after St. John acknowledged that Smith was a viable suspect, Gilmore made the mistake of going to the newly merged Herald Examiner with the Smith transcripts and the story of the discovery. On January 17th, 1982, the newspaper ran a front page story that mentioned Arnold Smith and Al Morrison, the big shot from Nevada, as hot new suspects in the Black Dahlia murder. Wow. Angry with Gilmore for leaking the story to the press, St. John told him, I'm concerned. I want to keep a lid on this, and then asked Gilmore to get more on tape before they brought Shin in for questioning. Before they brought Smith in, sorry. What we're going to have to do is have you try to pin him down, St. John said. I want to bust this guy so bad, it's killing me. Another meeting was set up at the 555 Club in late January 1982, but before the meeting could take place, the case against Jack Anderson Wilson went up in flames. Wilson was lying on his bed in room 202 at Holland Hotel when the room was enveloped in a raging fire. Holy crap. It's like every time they get close to oh, thank you, Jackie. Yeah, when you're on StreamYard, you can't see. So thank you for telling me. Thank you, Jackie. Firemen broke into the room to fight the blaze and discovered his burning body. Although room 202 was the only room in the hotel that was consumed by the fire, it was a raging inferno that took the firemen 35 minutes to extinguish. The fire captain recalled that Wilson's charred body was lying on the left side of the bed, which had burned and collapsed into the floor, and the fire had been extraordinarily intense. The plaster-like wall surfaces and the underlying support structures had burned away, exposing the flames of the walls and the ceiling, the captain said. The bureau, the bed, and all the furniture in the room were totally burned. Although there was no evidence how the fire started, arson was suspected because of the intensity of the blaze. Arson investigators said that the death of Jack Anderson Wilson was possibly other than accidental. The fourth man may have been murdered. Jeepers. There's no school oh yeah, tomorrow's thanks for reminding me. Tomorrow's family day for us Canadians. Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I would have forgot. That's weird that you said that though. I was gonna check the weather see if when it's the mom, they'll never let them get caught. Wasting the cops' time is intentional. Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I wasn't surprised reading that. I just didn't know he'd be caught on fire. Jeez. There's an interesting postscript to the Arnold Smith, Jack Anderson, Wilson transcripts. While reading Wilson's rambling interviews with Gilmore, I know that Wilson had described two different murders. One was the murder of Elizabeth Short, but the MO of the other murder was quite different. And I realized that Wilson was describing the murder of Georgette Bowerdorf. A tall man with a limp was described as bothering Georgette at the Hollywood canteen in the days before her murder. The rap sheet of Jack Anderson Wilson gave his height at 6'4". He had been in the Army in 1943 and discharged in 1944 following his leg injury. The Bowerdorf murder took place in October 1944. The hotel where Wilson occasionally stayed in 1994 was located at Sunset and Wilcox, opposite the Hollywood Canteen. Aggie Underwood stated that a witness had described a tall man with a limp getting into Georgette's car when it was abandoned at 25th and San Pedro Street, which proved to be 6 blocks from Wilson's mother's house at 31st and San Pedro, and Jack Anderson Wilson was tall enough to reach the light bulb above Georgette's front door, describing the murder that matched the Bardorf murder. Jack Anderson Wilson, aka Smith, said, so Wilson says, he wanted to do it ever since he saw her. Gilmore, who he told you that? Wilson, oh, he said as much. You know, you see someone and you feel a certain way, and with her, it was the idea to do that to her. Gilmore, to actually kill her. So then it's premeditated murder, isn't it? Wilson, if it was or if it wasn't, it was the only reason he continued to see her. Jeez. So it wasn't a crime of passion? Wilson, oh, it was, but it was something that had happened sooner or later. Gilmore, why is that? Wilson, because it was something she wanted to happen to her. What? It was the road she was on, and that was the roads reaching at the end of it. Gilmore, so it was willed? Wilson, in a matter of speaking, everyone is entitled to go nuts. You said that yourself. Gilmore knows that Smith seems to go off into a trance-like state. You thought all the sickness was out of your house? You gotta be kidding me. I'm sorry, it's awful. Especially when your kids get sick. Actually, gotta see when mine's coming home or if he is coming home. They might have plans tomorrow. Wilson, she didn't say anything, and he went to her and grabbed her by the arm, like this, pulls her back, but she hauled off and let him have it with her purse. Just swung it out and caught him across the side of the face. He slugged her once, and her knees got weak. He pulls her back into the room, and he leans her against the wall while he locks the door with a key. He said he then grabbed her, then pushed her, and she fell down like it was against or on to the couch, and then off that is on the floor with her dress up on her body. He said he stood over her and said something about he was going to screw her in the ass. She started to yell, so he bent down and slugged her again. He said he put his hands on her neck and held her head still while he hit her a couple more times. She didn't move. Now, he didn't know what he was going to do, except he went out of the room, through the door he had locked, and went down the stairs to the rear on the first floor to the kitchen. There was a large knife, like a long butcher knife that was 2 inches, the height of a blade near the wooden handle. He said he didn't know what he was going to do with the knife except to scare her or keep her back up in the room. He went upstairs. She hadn't gotten up off the floor, but upon an elbow or an arm and was looking around. Gilmore, she was just on the floor like that. She hadn't tried to get out. So you guys have President's Day tomorrow, and ours is Family Day. It's weird. Just because they're two different holidays. Oh, and you still gotta work? Oh, excuse me. Wilson says no. She was on the edge of the couch. I think maybe he had her arm up here at this part of her arm, but this wasn't a couch like you think. It was a studio bed. She was scared of the knife and got up and was moving, but he ran to her and hit her again, but it didn't put her out and didn't seem to stop it. So it was necessary at that point to indicate that he was going to hurt her with the knife. Gilmore, what happened then? Wilson, he tore at the clothes, not tearing but cutting at them. He said something, and I can remember him being scared. He put rags in her mouth and he knocked her out a few times. These men are fucking disgusting. I mean, holy shit. Yeah, Patty. Oh my God. What is this woman probably went through, no matter what version of the story is? So this is another one. This is Georgette. Holy frig. So he put rags in her mouth and he knocked her out a few times. He had to do that when the spirit overtook him. But I told you this, and some of the rest of it I don't know. It was so long ago. It's only by chance that we're talking now. You understand the trouble I could get into because of what he did. If he could somehow make it seem that he didn't do it. What Jack Anderson Wilson had described in this instance was not the murder of Elizabeth Short, but the lust murder of Georgette Bowerdorf at her El Palacio apartment on October 12, 1944. It was 2 years later that Wilson became involved in the McCadden gang robberies and the murder of Elizabeth Short. The Black Dahlia murder is a cold, cold case. What survives today is the best evidence, all that can be factually brought together to establish the perpetrators of what is considered to be one of the most notorious murders of the 20th century. However tangible, evidence has evolved through the decades to name the person or persons unknown, name the motive, name the location of the crime, name the reason why the body was transported to Norton Avenue, and name those responsible for the cover-up. Although there's no statute of limitations on murder, it's doubtful that the Los Angeles Police Department or the District Attorney's Office will ever reopen the Black Dahlia case. It's not in their interest to do so. Yet, justice has been ill-served, and the people's right to know the truth has been denied. Because civic leaders and law enforcement officials long ago abdicated that their responsibilities in the Black Dahlia case, the best evidence must be placed before the court of public of public and the jury. You are the jury, God remains the judge. Yeah, I remember that. Canada's too weird. I remember all the single women moved to Indiana from my buddy Maryland. More than half a century has gone by since the murder of Elizabeth Short. But there are times when it seems like it was only yesterday that the screaming headlines about the Black Dahlia case landed on our doorstep. I can still vividly remember when I first heard about this crime and began to realize that there was a dark side to money, power, influence, and that the truth and what was printed in the newspapers were not necessarily the same. The weather had turned warmer during the day, and there was no fruit frost warning that night on the 10 o'clock news. Because of a Boy Scout meeting that Wednesday, I had not seen the newspapers and first heard about the bizarre murder of Jane Doe 1, and some of the gruesome details on my bedside radio were jovial, smiling figure of Charlie McCarthy sat on the rim of the speaker wearing his monocle, boutonniere, and funny top hat. Holy shit, that's it? No way, that's a lot more left here. No way I read this all. There's a couple acknowledgments, a shit ton more evidence. Oh my lord. Wow, there's a whole bunch of them. That's it? Shit. Well, here's the acknowledgments. I'll at least read that. I'm indebted to many people for making this book possible. Retired LAPD officer Vince Carter directed me through the mean streets and back alleys of Los Angeles. I would have made many wrong turns if it weren't for Vince. Thank you. John Gilmore's Severed was the non-fiction forerunner of investigative books into the murder of Elizabeth Short and proved to be the Baedeker to Dahlia land. Thanks, John, for all your help. I'm grateful to Mary, who was always there with her unique insight and advice. Mary often pointed me in the right direction and has always remained a true friend of Snow White. Fellow Beverly Hills School alums, Will Fowler was invaluable assistance over the years. I'm deeply indebted to I'm deeply indebted to Will, who passed away before this book was completed. Oh. The staff of Medford Historical Society, especially Mike Howard and Ryan Hayward, they were extremely helpful, and I thank them for their guidance. I'd like to thank Faye Adams of Medford High School for her assistance. There was also a thank you to Dace Taub and her staff at the Regional History Center. Thank you to Dave Pasco for lending your computer genius along with your exceptional knowledge to this project. Uh, I don't know who any of these people are, and I don't remember who all these people are. Alan believed in the book from day one and saw it through to all to its travails. Grateful to Judith, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Appendix A. So this section includes LAPD summary of the crime scene, the coroner's inquest, the verdict of the coroner's jury, note from Will Fowler, the FBI laboratory letter, the FBI Identification Division letter, the FBI Bugsy Siegel Capone Gang crime survey, and the telegram on Siegel's whereabouts. Wow. So in the back here, there's some pretty cool looking things. I'm going to take pictures and I'm going to put them all in my community tab. So there's going to be a lot. Um, the thing is, though, I think it's more solved now than anything. They literally found all the people involved, and they are. Where'd that page go? They are Bugsy, Albert Lewis Greenberg, John Anderson Wilson, Maurice Clement, and Dr. Leslie C. Adrain. So the abortionist, and that Maurice Clement, he was the syndicate. He was the guy who was the driver of the car for Brenda Allen's horror shop. Have I heard anything about the paranormal and the Black Dahlia? I haven't looked into it yet, but I do plan on putting these all in the community tab, all these pictures, and then thinking, I don't know if I can read them. It's so small, but these are really cool. You're staying, my boy. All right. Yeah, that high guy's not too into spirit box. Hold on, sorry, I just gotta answer my son really quick. So wait, I have to spend family day alone? Ah, heck no. I'll tell him to get his ass home for supper. Hopefully, when I've got so many photos I need to put in here. Jeepers. See where I left off and put them all in. Um, yeah, I do actually. I honestly, seriously, I can't wait to spend. Well, I spent all day today alone. It was amazing. And then tomorrow I'll spend most of it by myself. Leland will be home later tomorrow. I don't know, I can see if there's anything on it. But all the stuff in the back, like if even if I put them in the community tab, you're just gonna have to like, I don't know, I guess make the photos bigger and read it for yourself because they're really tiny. I love alone time too. Yeah, right. I don't know. Tomorrow's supposed to be nice too, actually. I might even go out and get some fresh air. Oh my God, I know exactly what I'm doing. We have beaver tails. There's a huge ass truck parked right in front of one of the stores, and they're not around my area. So when they do come here, oh yeah, I go. They're like elephant ears for you guys. And I like the cinnamon ones. They're amazing. So I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna buy me a freaking beaver tail. That's what I'm gonna do. And of course, buy Leland one and then hide it in his oh my God, that guy. There's testimonials in here. There's transcripts. There, holy shit, interviews. Um, what else is in here? Oh my God, this is a lot. The verdict of the coroner's jury. Wow. It's just so small, but I will put it in. There's a lot. Hey, Mama 3. Oh yeah, then there's the okay, I might be able to read this too. The Hodel hypothesis, which wasn't true at all. That's all the way back here. Okay, I guess I can read this next week then. Never mind, there's a whole bunch more. Oh, not too much more. They're so good. I love beaver tails. You're jealous. They're very, 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 very good. They're so expensive now. I remember, well, I was also a teenager though. I'm 38. I remember getting them when I was younger and they were like $3 and then I remember them going to $5 and then I haven't been able to see them in forever and they're finally come here like every, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. And I got one for me and Leland and it was like $25. It was ridiculous. It was very expensive. But I don't see them all the time, like maybe once a year. I'm gonna see if there's anything on the Black Dahlia and spirits. Let's see here. Maybe I can play that. Okay, apparently this is her ghost, supposedly. It says, "Did I catch the Black Dahlia's ghost on camera?" I don't know about that, but I'll show you guys anyways. A beaver tail is, I think you guys call them elephant ears. Oh, they're delicious. It's a pastry and it's deep fried and it's in the shape of a beaver tail. And there's cinnamon sugar on it. That's like the main one. Then there's the maple one. And then there's Reese's Pieces. Oh, you can just get whatever the hell you want. These things are amazing. All right, so let's see if this is apparently her. This is the Biltmore or the Blitmore Hotel, apparently.
We're staying at. The Biltmore in downtown Los Angeles is famous for being the last known place that Elizabeth Short, aka the Black Dahlia, was seen alive before her extremely gruesome and unsolved murder, in which her attacker cut her face from cheek to ear on each side, which is often called the
Beautiful.
Glasgow
Wow.
smile.
Oh my God.
Listen to what the spirit box said while we were there.
Brand new cut smile.
A brand new cut smile? That's where it comes from.
Face, right?
Yeah.
That's creepy.
This hotel we're staying at, the Biltmore in downtown Los Angeles.
What the hell was that? Brand new cut smile. Jeepers. Yeah, it's just like elephant ears. I remember somebody told me that because they're like, "Ew, you guys eat beaver tails?" I'm like, no, it's a pastry." They're like, "Oh, okay, it's just like an elephant ear." I'm like, "What the hell is an elephant ear?" They're like, "A beaver tail." I'm like, "Okay." So you guys just call them elephant ears, and because we're Canadian, eh? We call them beaver tails, eh? I know, right? And that's crazy. So that spirit box session was saying, ugh, that was gross. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find something else. Retracing the Black Dahlia's final footsteps, Ghost of I hate this guy. I don't know what it is. I just what the hell? They made a song? The Black Dahlia's final footsteps? Okay, we might have to watch it even though I can't stand that.
Lotto Max has draws on Tuesdays and Fridays. So let's see you dream even bigger.
I'll add a catamaran.
Nice brushwork. Think about where you'll ride them Why dream to the min when you can dream to the max?
So apparently we hear footsteps.
How long have you been giving tours on the Black Dahlia and researching the history?
Whoa, there's a freaking tour guide? What? Bus Adventures. Well, what the heck?
Top slots, table games, real live dealers in Ontario? You betcha. Download Unibet and start playing today.
Sorry about that. I had to go lock the door. Tim Hortons is Canada's Dunkin' Donuts. Like, yeah, it is. But apparently, isn't there Tim Hortons in the States now? I do have donuts down the road, and well, I have Tim Hortons just down the road for me. They're really good. The honey crullers are amazing. I think that's what you're talking about, that high guy. They're really good. I usually well, I do have a snack cupboard, and me and Leland both have snack drawers in our rooms. So whenever stuff goes on sale, we'll grab it and just put it in there. But my drawer is kind of empty. I haven't bought anything. His is nice and full. That's because I spoil them. Like I think there was $2.99 for those Kinder chocolates that you like, Patty. And I bought him some the other day, and he's like, he ate them all in one night, just like you do. In certain areas, there is. Well, that's the thing. I think the States ended up buying Tim Hortons as well as Burger King. They are really damn good. And if you like the honey crullers, you'll like the honey dip donuts and the honey dip Timbits. Oh, they're so good. They melt in your mouth. Oh my God, now I want donuts. What time is it? 8 o'clock? I think they're open till 10. Ooh. Ooh, I might have to go get some. All right, I want to see if there's one more thing on this stuff. Top 5 murder facts. When was that? 6 years ago? No, this whole thing is a lie. Um, Demonic Dahlia. No thanks. She's so hot. Bailey Sarian. The Black Dahlia Haunted Hotel Overnight. Oh, that's the one we just like seen. There's a video, The Black Dahlia Murder by some band called That's Gross. But yeah. Oh, I know what we should do on Friday. We should watch The Black Dahlia with Josh Hartnett. Are you serious? Draw My Life? And it that is disgusting. Supposedly she's still angry at her killer. I know I need donuts too. I don't have a car. You've been plant-based. When do you get to get off of this plant-based stuff? Yeah, they were good, eh? You could ask the missus if you should have another bowl. I might need the couch. Exactly is a plant-based diet. Yeah, I know I need to go. I'm hungry now. Now I don't know. Should I go to Tim Hortons or wait till tomorrow? Wait a minute. I have like those what the hell you call them? A shortcake roll with whipped cream and maple inside. Yeah, that'll do for me. Never mind. That's good. All right, I'll let you guys go and eat now that I've made everybody hungry. But at least it's better than thinking about all this stuff, right? You guys go eat your faces off. I'm gonna do the same thing. And thank you, Dragon Mom, for letting me know that tomorrow is a holiday because I would have forgotten. My dumbass would have got up. All right, you guys have a great night. What's tomorrow Monday? Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with more of the novel Lethal Marriage with Paul and Carla. Oh, and I figured out her names, and thanks to my members, I've got some stuff that I need to show you guys on that. Do they deliver? I wish. Stop, do they deliver? No, they don't. We don't have like skip the dishes or anything here. I'm sure a cab would deliver, but it'd probably cost a fortune. If they're even available. We only have one cab company now, and they half the time I call, they're like, "Yeah, it's gonna be like a 3-hour wait." So I hope to see you again too, Dahlia guy. Especially, we need to get together and figure out when we're gonna go live about all this conspiracy and zoology shit. It'll be fun. I can't wait. UFOs are like my thing as well, so that'll be fun. I made cinnamon. What the hell did you make? Cinnamon toast crunch. Oh, that sounds so good, Benita. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.